Hello, for those of you who are going to be watching this, it's going to be an opportunity for you to bring somebody into the classroom that you probably wouldn't have otherwise the opportunity to do so. So for this interview, we're going to be investigating somebody who is going to be going into the poultry industry. We're going to take a different point of view from the other videos you may have watched with the series. So this is someone going into the industry instead of someone who may have been or have a couple years behind their belt in it. So without further ado, I'm going to let our guests go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Gibbs, and I'm currently wrapping up my last semester at college, and I'm going to be working for Cargill coming up pretty soon, and I'm going to be in their processing plant with turkeys.
All right, Jennifer, can you go ahead and tell them what college you go to?
Yeah, so I go to Michigan State, and I'm majoring in animal science with a minor in food processing and technology.
All right, do you think you could go through some of your maybe some things that you did in high school that led you to some of the choices you made in college?
Yeah, so growing up, I was heavily involved in 4-H. Through that, I mainly showed poultry. I showed other species as well, but poultry was my main area. And in high school, I got really involved in FFA. And through that, I competed in the poultry CDE contest, did really well at the state level with that. And that kind of what influenced me to go into the poultry industry and pursue an animal science major.
Awesome, very cool. So just to reemphasize, poultry is what you wanted to go into and is what you're going into.
Yes, yep.
So you brought us in some of the background that you did in high school. What are some choices that you did in college that you think helped you step into the career you're about to go into?
Yeah, so entering my freshman year, I joined the Michigan State Avian Science Club. And that was a really good move on my part because it helped me to get exposed to some professionals in the industry and exposed me to an opportunity called COE, which stands for the Center of Excellence Program. And since there's no poultry science degree programs anywhere in the Midwest poultry producers decided to come together and create a program for students that are interested in pursuing a poultry science, I guess, minor slash emphasis. And through the club, I was able to complete a summer courses with that. And that kind of led me to further my education in poultry.
Very cool. So you mentioned that you were able to take some summer classes. So I'm assuming these summer classes were emphasized around poultry. Could you explain a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so COE, there it can be broken up into two summer sessions. I was only able to complete the first summer session because I'm graduating, but essentially each summer is 9 credits and you take 3 classes in 6 weeks. And so for summer session one, I was able to take breeder flock and hatchery management, as well as avian physiology and poultry products technology. And those courses kind of gave an overview of, I guess, a deeper dive into like poultry education and getting you prepared to enter the industry.
Wow, very, very cool. I'm so glad that you were able to have that opportunity. Do you think that you could explain maybe to somebody who might not have the opportunity to go to the COE program or another college who might not have a poultry degree program, what steps they could take to maybe make steps forward into the poultry industry?
Yeah, so I think with like other universities that don't have a degree program, I know Michigan State has an avian science club, and Michigan State does not have a poultry degree or emphasis. So getting involved in the clubs, as well as looking up internships that are poultry related, that will help you get your foot into the door because the poultry industry is growing and they're wanting people. So if you express an interest in poultry, your chances of finding an internship and a job grows exponentially.
So you mentioned networking. You throughout your club too. Is there any other events that you could even branch out even further to continue this networking with between poultry professionals?
Yeah, so every year around January or February, there is this huge conference that takes place in Atlanta, Georgia called IPPE, and I believe it stands for International Poultry and Production Expo.
Processing and Production Expo.
Yeah, that, okay. Um, but they have a college networking program where you can go and interview with companies such as Tyson, Pilgrim's Pride, and many others, and to help secure full-time jobs as well as internships. And it's also a good way to meet students from all different types of universities, like students from the Midwest and as well as students from the Southern universities that actually do have poultry science programs.
All right. Do you think you were disadvantaged at all by attending Michigan State since you came in knowing you wanted to do poultry? Do you think that was like a disadvantage for you for attending a university that didn't have a poultry science program?
Honestly, not at all, because I believe that my background that I was exposed to FFA and 4-H definitely helped me, as well as because Michigan State does have a strong avian science club, as well as the COE program definitely set me up big time to and let me, I guess, yeah, set me up big time to and prepared to enter the industry and the workforce.
Wow, very cool. So you mentioned you're going to be working for Cargill. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about them and what they do?
Yeah, so Cargill is a huge company, and I believe they're under the umbrella that is JBS, which is, I believe, the biggest processing company in the world. And they mainly do processing, but like I said, I'm going to be working in turkey processing. They also have beef processing, egg processing, and I believe also pork processing.
So there's really opportunities for anyone, even if you don't want to do poultry, correct?
Yes. And even if you don't want to be on the processing side, there's always like management within like the supply chain, food safety, and other aspects like that.
Yeah, so perfect timing. You brought in live operations. What are some opportunities in live operations that you maybe got to experience or might have might other be opportunities that students could experience?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So you told me before that you had an internship. Could you tell me about this internship and how do you think it helped prepare you?
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, so this past summer I had the opportunity to intern with Daybreak, which is an egg laying company out in Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And my internship was the multidisciplinary internship. So I got to see and rotate from all different departments. And with that, I got to be in pullets, live production, HR, security, processing. And so I got the whole scope of what honestly makes a company stick together. And but yeah, it was really cool. And everyone I met there was extremely nice and extremely welcoming.
So you're going into processing, but you also mentioned your internship in live production. What would you say has the most opportunity for growth in it?
Between production and processing, I believe the sector that has the most room for growth is definitely processing. People consume more and more poultry, and so there's definitely the need for that has gone up. So if you express an interest in the processing sector, you're almost guaranteed to find a job.
Should that discourage anyone from pursuing opportunities in the live operation side?
Not at all, because they're still needing people as well, but it's just honestly preference at this point.
So we know poultry has many different like aspects to it. Do you mind just explaining? I know we're throwing out live operations and processing. Do you mind explaining like each sector of maybe the poultry industry? Because I'm sure like if this is like a beginning animal science class that's watching this, they might have already figured out that the poultry industry is a vertically integrated industry. So do you mind like possibly breaking down like processing, live production, the different live productions that might go into it, just to maybe spark some interest for potential students?
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching that don't know what vertically integrated means vertically integrated means that these poultry companies are going to own every aspect of the industry up until the finished products that ultimately ends up on the shelves at our retail stores. And so they'll own the genetic companies or the genetics behind these birds, that whether they're broilers or laying hens. They'll own the hatcheries, they'll own the farms that are contract grown with growers, and they'll own the processing and the wholesale part. And then ultimately it becomes, I lost what I was gonna say, but
Okay.
but yeah, so breaking it down, like live operations can be broken down into production hens if you're talking on the laying sector, and pullets. And then for broilers, I believe it's just the hatchery, and then once they get moved into their full like housing, they just get raised as normal broilers.
Yep. And then, so you mentioned laying hens and broilers. Are there like any other species of poultry that students could investigate further possibly?
Yeah, there's also turkeys as well, is another main component of the poultry industry.
I remember you mentioning that someone even did ducks. So I mean, I think you could speak a little bit more on that, but really the possibilities are endless in this industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely an extensive and a huge industry.
So I guess my next point I would like to have you touch on is that you received this job before the end of your senior year, correct?
Yeah, so I received my job offer, honestly, I think early February. So I had a job offer well before I'm even graduating.
So do you think this is a typical thing for college students to receive a job offers so much before graduation?
I think it depends on the major you're in, but honestly, not really. I know there's a lot of college students that are struggling to find jobs, and like well after graduation still, they're still looking to find a job.
So I guess, is it fair to say that because the poultry industry is in such need of educated people, or that they're on the hunt for people like you to go into the industry?
Yes. So if you have a higher education degree, the poultry industry is looking for people.
Awesome. So getting that degree, getting that job offer early on, what did you reach out to them, or what was the process you did on getting your job offer?
Yeah, so I was sent actually an application through one of my advisors, and I was like, hey, why not? I'll apply. And so I applied, and about a couple days later, I received a phone call, and that phone call set up like a first round interview type thing. So I ended up making it past the first round, and then I had to choose my top three locations for Cargill, since they have locations like pretty much everywhere. And once I sent them that, I set up my final interview with the plant that within my top three, and then I received a job offer after that.
Very cool. So do you think, 'cause, the main reason why we're doing this interview right now is because of Corona, do you think Corona had a big impact on the industry this year?
Well, definitely. And I think not only for poultry, but as well as just the entire meat industry. I know at the beginning of this, there was a meat shortage because they were shutting down plants because of COVID. And so I know that this is a well-demand field. I mean, you can see like the effects of like the meat industry being shut down, that people were going kind of crazy because there was a shortage of meat, and meat prices skyrocketed. So definitely this is an essential industry.
I guess my final question, what do you think is the biggest issue that's going to come into your industry that these new young professionals are going to have to start solving?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one. Um, hmm.
Would you say maybe something that might be coming into effect, or maybe some biosecurity issues?
Yeah, I think it can be both of those, honestly, because I know with new laws and regulations that are taking place, specifically on the laying hen side of things, there's definitely there's laws coming into place that are regulating cage free. And so at least I know there's a couple other states, but in Michigan by 2025, I believe, all laying hens facilities have to be cage free. In Michigan, this is going to have a huge impact on Michigan because Michigan is number 6 in egg production. And the biggest egg laying company in Michigan is Herbrooks, and they have well over 9 million laying hens. So that's definitely going to impact, the workers because there's some issues with cage free. It kind of makes it a little bit harder on the management. So that's going to be for these young professionals coming in. They're going to have to work to solve those. And what's the best way of making cage free more efficient? And going into the biosecurity, that's kind of one of the problems with cage free is that biosecurity can be a little bit more of an issue. So definitely that's going to be an issue to help prevent the spread of like avian influenza and other sicknesses that can come through the flock.
Thank you. So I guess one last thing for you. Is there anything else that you would like to tell potential students interested in poultry?
Yes, the poultry industry, like I have already said, it's a huge industry, and you don't necessarily have to work hands-on with the birds to go into it. If you even express an interest in poultry, employers and people are gonna like hire you. And so it's a good industry to go to. It has good job security and it pays well. It's one of the only livestock industries that is significantly growing. So you choose the poultry industry, you're gonna be choosing a great industry.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer, so much for taking the time and having this conversation with me. And hopefully this will have an impact on some students' career paths, or maybe even have an influence on any impact they want to be able to go into agriculture by chance. All right, we will leave you at that. Thank you.